As the day just started, 4:30 a.m., you see Confederate soldiers marching up to Fort Sumter. U.S. Captain Abner Doubleday ordered a fire at Fort Sumter. Virginia Congressman Roger Perot gave the honor of firing the first shot, officially starting the Civil War. As an army in Washington begins their march to Richmond, an equally massive army of Confederates stands in their way. Confederate spies were all over D.C. and have told the army about the invasion. This was the first major battle of the Civil War, the Battle of Bull Run. Both armies were about the same amount of troops and both undertrained their army. Many people were there to watch the battle, not understanding how massive this war was going to be. The Union hit the Confederate by the side, pushing them back. People are running away. Neighborhoods evaluating pushing Confederate to Henry Hill. The Union now had an advantage, or so they thought. General Thomas Jackson, standing like a stone wall, held the Union in a defensive position, sending the Union army back, losing the battle. The Battle of Shiloh. Albert Sidney Johnston prepared his army in Corinth, a city in the Mississippi. While Ulysses Grant had his army at Pittsburgh Landing, Johnston's plans was to sneak attack Grant, which worked. Grant slowly put in a defensive position, putting up to the church of Shiloh. Thinking Confederate won, stopped the attack. Grant, however, made a surprise attack in the night, sending the Confederate back over 23,000 casualties, with the Union having more. Battle of Monitor and Merrimack. As a Monitor and a Union ship covered in iron and a controllable cannon on top arrives in Chesapeake Bay, another ship already there called the Merrimack, another ship covered in iron. This time it has a sharp wooden shape in the front, destroying wooden ships. Both inexperienced teams did minor damage to each other, ending it up at a tie. Robert E. Lee, the commander of the Confederate Army, leads his men near Antietam Creek. George B. McClellan sent his troops looking for the Confederate Army, bumping into them, starting the attack. Joseph Hooker, replacing the old Union commander, trained his men in the spring, preparing to capture the capital of Richmond, Virginia. Hooker prepared a surprise attack. James Longstreet also prepared a surprise attack as well. The battle was in the forest. Longstreet split up their army. James Longstreet's surprise attack worked, attacking the exposed side of his army, winning the battle. Jackson gets mistaken as the rival enemy and gets shot, shattering his left shoulder, dying from pneumonia. Abraham Lincoln, the President of the United States, issued a document called the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed all the slaves in the Confederate States. Of course, it did not work, but it made it so when we win, we would eliminate slavery in the Union. Robert E. Lee and his army marched to Pennsylvania, not realizing that they will meet the Union Army, led by George G. and Potomac. This was a 3-day battle. Confederate attack from both sides. Next day, the Confederate tried to picket the Union Army, ultimately failing, and had to retreat to Virginia, losing many men. This battle was a turning point in the war, as General Ulysses Grant tried to take control of the Mississippi River. He had multiple attempts